Hey y'all, it's Farley with another episode of the Writer's Edge. And today I have physical therapist Aleisha Shirley with me from
Hi.
Solid in the Saddle. Hi, Aleisha. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited about the conversation today. We've already talked for dang near 30 minutes before we hit record. So I think this is going to be a great conversation. So,
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Farley.
So we're going to start with the warm up. So the warm up is you telling us your story, because I'm a big believer in we are the best tellers of our own stories. So please introduce yourself and tell us about Aleisha.
All right. So my name is Aleisha Shirley, and I'm a physical therapist here in Montana. Right now, I live in Melrose, Montana, which is a tiny, tiny little town. I think we have like 100 people here. Um, and we, I live here with my husband and my 7-month-old son. So my story is I got into horses when I was really little, and I was like your typical horse crazy little girl, like begging my parents to take me out to ride as much as possible. Like I couldn't wait to get my driver's license so I could finally take myself out to ride. And I did like everything under the sun that I could on the horses that were available to me, which were not like nice horses or anything like that. I loved them so much, but they weren't anything special. But I just had a ton of fun doing omoxies, barrel racing, trail riding, um, gymkhanas, kind of anything that I could. And went to college for exercise science, health and human performance. So I took a lot of classes on like exercise prescription, nutrition, that kind of thing. And then went on to physical therapy school. So spent 3 years in physical therapy school. Farley, I know you're a PT too. So we have like, oh, it's so much school, like school. And yeah, and I just learned throughout physical therapy school kind of about my own strengths and weaknesses, my own mobility restrictions, where I was flexible, where I wasn't, and started to apply that to my writing and saw my writing improve. So kind of to take a backward step, I bought a barrel horse when I was in college, and things weren't like great with him. Like was to be honest, I was kind of like terrified of him because he could just like buffalo me at the gate, and he was really big and I was timid, and I just didn't. Yeah, it was really intimidating. And so um I called my mentor Judy Millimaki, who I had done a clinic with her in 2014, I think. Um, and I was just like, Judy, I bought this horse and I'm so scared of him that I haven't even entered, like I'd entered him like twice, and this is like 6 months later. And she's like, oh, bring him over. And so luckily I only lived like 30 minutes from her. And so I brought him up, and um, she got us straightened out like pretty much in like one session. I mean, she's just amazing. And she really gave me the confidence. And from that point, I realized like, wow, I need to get stronger. Like I need, my body needs to be strong to like have the confidence to keep up with this horse. And so from that was kind of the start of the journey. And I really, really worked on my own strength, my own like everything, legs, glute, back, cardio, everything. And took that horse from like a 3D horse at best to a 1D horse. And it was like, it was amazing to me because like that horse hadn't ever ran 1D times. And I know that it was just because I was able to like cue him the best that I could. Um, through being strong enough to do so. So that just like kickstarted. I'm like, I want to share this with everybody. I want everybody to be able to improve their riding, and improve their times, improve their everything, by getting stronger.
I love that. I love that story because very on a similar journey. Sometimes PTs aren't the best patients, right? We're very good at helping everybody else and telling
Yep.
everybody else, and sometimes we're not the best at doing it ourselves. So even though we have the knowledge, I say we, other people may be better at this than me, but I have a similar story with my current horse, Chuck.
Okay.
He He's super long strided. I bought the opposite of the horse I sold. So I had a
Okay.
little cow horsey kind of mare, real 4x4 turning style. Super wide,
Mhm.
firewater flit type type barrel horse. And I sold her and I bought the exact opposite of her. And it turns out he's 16-1, has a stride as long as this room, appendix bred, super
Uh-huh.
balanced, but about as wide as my hand.
Yep. Typical race bred.
And I told my buddy the other day, when I was out riding with Donna Kay and KK, I was like, when I feel out of balance, when I'm not riding him well, it feels like I'm on the top rail of a panel. Like it feels so narrow and I go, ah.
Yeah.
And so as I've been working through a very old right SI issue that I would just kind of patch along,
Mhm.
as PTs do. Sometimes we don't go fully work on our own problems. We just kind of put the patch on that we know will get us down the road, or um,
Yep.
at least my buddies at the clinics I've worked at, we're very guilty of that for
Oh yeah.
everybody, whether you run or ride or whatever. But as I've been working on my SOAS, and my motor planning and my motor control, because that's where I'm at really in my PT right now, is working on that, because if it's not firing correctly, you can't strengthen it correctly. And as that has changed, I am catching up with Chuck. So Chuck, I trained Chuck, but it turns out the person that trained Chuck did a good job, and now the person's jockeying Chuck, which happens to be the same person, has got to catch up as a
Yep.
jockey.
Oh yeah. No, that's awesome. How satisfying for you to be able to take a horse, the whole way. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's super difficult, but I really like that part of the story of you took your horse from a 3D horse to a 1D horse, through working on you. And so I think rider fitness, that is where the big component is, especially with barrel racing. And I liken that to horse fitness as well, because those two things really stick out in my mind, the rider fitness and the horse fitness. The rider fitness is going to take you further to your goals.
Mhm.
And the horse fitness is too, far as horses that are healthier, possibly some less bleeding and other orthopedic issues, if everybody is in better shape, because both humans and horses were made to move, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about your fitness journey, what you're working on with your clients. I know you have, and we will talk about this several times in this conversation today. I know you have a clinic coming up with the Cowgirl Gathering there in Montana, June 2nd and 3rd, I think. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Uh,
June 2nd.
yeah. So talk to me a little bit more of kind of your fitness program with riding and what you're helping your clients with.
Okay. So currently, I have a fitness program. It's 6 weeks long, and we focus on core strength, leg strength, and back strength. And those are alternating days. And you can combine the days, that kind of thing. But basically, it works every large muscle group that you use, large and small muscle group that you use when you're riding horses. And before is it okay if I go on a little tangent?
Absolutely. Tangent away. The mic is yours.
Okay. So before 2020, I wasn't doing a lot of back back strengthening. I was just doing like core, legs, cardio, that kind of thing. But I actually broke my back in 2020 in a horse accident, and it was like horrible. I mean, it crushed my dreams of getting to go down the road on this really nice horse that I was rodeoing on. And I was just so sad about it. And then now I realize that that was absolutely the catalyst to make Solid in the Saddle what it is today. So my programs, it went from being all about like rider fitness and in like a young, healthy adult to rider fitness and rehab in someone who's had an injury or someone who's lost confidence, someone who has back pain, someone who has hip pain, that kind of thing. And I could really relate to my clients on a different level. And so that is where I'm focusing now. I was able to, it took me about a full year to rehab after my back. Not necessarily because it took a full year, but because we have a limited barrel racing season in Montana. But that full year allowed me to get really, really strong. So I did, a ton of back strengthening exercises, core strengthening, all that kind of stuff. And was able to come back at a higher level barrel racing than before I broke my back. So that is where I focus on with my clients now, is kind of like peeling back all the layers to old injuries, pain, that kind of thing. In my clientele has changed too. So it's not just the young, healthy barrel racers. It's like the barrel racers in their 30s, 40s, 50s who have had injuries or they have pain, that kind of thing, and they want to fix it. They want to ride better. They want to ride without pain. So my online program is, like I said, core, legs, and back, and just like a lot of single leg activities, a lot of different balance exercises so that you ride symmetrically, that kind of thing. I also do one-on-one coaching via telehealth, so I can do more like personalized exercise programs with people. So if they do have an injury, picking that injury apart and then rehabbing it similar to like what we would do in a clinic, partly. And that is kind of where my Solid in the Saddle clinics go. So I do a full PT evaluation on each rider. So full evaluation of everything, pain, muscle weakness, strengths, movement patterns, symmetry, all that kind of stuff. And then I do a slow motion assessment. And the slow motion assessment is done at 1/8 of the speed of the riding. So I'll take people through walk, trot, lope, or not walk, sitting trot, posting trot, lope both directions, and then discipline specific. And so I'll video all of that. So say they have like a problem barrel, we'll video that barrel. We'll look at it together, see what we can see, and then make an adjustment, and then implement that adjustment. So see if maybe it's a hip opening issue or hip closing issue, something like that, and see if we can make a difference. And that's kind of where, like I said, my clinics have gone is to be a lot more individual based on like how to move through different pain or asymmetries and how to fix it.
That's awesome. I love that story, and probably one of the key things out of that for me is finding somebody that works for you, right? Like your practice has changed because of events that have happened in your life. And we're both real similar. I really like, even my vet tells me, he's like, Farley, you're very good at healing tissue and working through some of those old injuries, because in the fitness space, in the rodeo world, there are a lot of people out there doing a lot of good. And for me, I have a similar interest for you. Let's go peel back all the layers. Like my right SI issue, I feel like probably started from a very bad ankle injury where I in college,
Oh, okay.
right ankle where I think I avulsed a big ligament. Of course, I'm of the mindset if I can still walk on it, it's fine, right? So,
Yeah.
and you're in college and you're invincible, so you don't really. I
Yep.
didn't go to the doctor till like 3 weeks later, and of course by then they're like, "You're still walking, you're fine."
Yeah.
Um, so sets up, as you well know, that whole um eventual snowball effect of
Mhm.
other issues through the lower kinetic chain. So I think for the audience out there, I think a big key takeaway from this part of the conversation is finding there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things out there, but finding who works for you. So,
Mhm.
I'm very similar in wanting to peel back those layers where there are other programs that are for just fit, healthy, or getting fitter riders. I can think of a couple off the top of my head, like Doug Champion and what he's doing with
Mhm.
Champion Living Fitness and Barrel Racer Fit down in
Yeah.
Weatherford, Texas. And they're
Yeah.
doing great things. But I think for both of us, if you need to peel back a problem, and if you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you've probably had one, even if it hasn't been serious, right?
Yeah.
Something you
Yeah.
haven't noticed and you don't connect those dots back together.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's such a great way of looking at things. Like I actually did a little interview with Logan with Champion Living Fitness, and it was so cool to talk to him just about, he's doing that like high level young rodeo athlete, bull rider, saddle bronc rider, like the fittest of the fit. And
Mhm.
the things that he was able to bring to the conversation were just amazing. And I after the interview, I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I have a girl who's in high school. She's like ready for your program. She's more than what I can provide for her right now. She's like wanting to be a national champion in goat tying and breakaway. And she's ready for that, progression of fitness. And so yeah, I think it's so cool to be able to work with a network of providers. And Farley, you mentioned before we started recording that you are trying to kind of organize that, like a network of providers for horseback riders, based on location and what you need. And that is like music to my ears, because we need that so bad. I mean, like I definitely think that people underestimate the value of a healthcare professional that has done the event that you want to get back to. And so if you can create a network of people like all over the country, that is the coolest thing ever. So listeners,
Yeah.
be ready for Farley's network, because it's going to be awesome.
Yay, yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think because even just being in the clinic, when I get runners in, they don't want to see me because I don't run.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like I think I could run from a bear, even though my buddy keeps telling me that is the wrong answer to give, and she hates it when I give that analogy. But I'm not a runner. I don't want to run. It's not what I
Yeah.
want to do. So
Yeah.
people want to um at the end of it, high quality hair. I'm a full believer high quality healthcare is when the person has been seen, heard, validated, and understood. And
Mhm.
so part of that is having knowledge and experience in what that client is doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big advocate for that. And yes, I'm excited about putting the kind of the Writer's Edge network together. Because the other thing too is I think for both you and I and other what Doug's group does and other people do, we all a lot of it's not new information, right? Like what we talk about and probably what people hear, it's not brand new. It's not something, oh my gosh, it's brand new. It's been said, but somebody will say it in a way that it clicks better, right?
Yeah.
You have to hear things over and over and over. And it might the way I say it, it might half click, and then you turn around and say it just slightly differently, and somebody goes, oh yeah, now I get that. And it changes your whole program.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So I think I think everybody coming together for that, because I think a big thing that we're missing in horsemanship in general, not even sports specific, is fitness. So we work a lot, we read a lot about getting feel with our horses and working on horsemanship and how to communicate with the horse. Well, a lot of that
Mhm.
communication comes through our body. And so it's not just a mind hand thing, it's a whole body thing. And
Mhm.
so you will get better with horsemanship if you have more self-trust in your body, more
Mhm.
body awareness and body control.
Yeah, I completely agree. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So tell me a little more, Alicia, about what you've got going up there in Montana, as you've been explaining to me the weather patterns, because as my new journey happens out west this summer and into next fall, very concerned about being a delicate Southern belle, and
Oh yeah.
heading out to your country. But I know you've got a big clinic coming up, and I think you've mentioned one in the fall as well. So kind of talk about your clinics and talk about what you've got going there.
Okay, so yeah, well, let me just preface this with before we started hitting recording, to the listeners, Farley and I came up with the most amazing plan to get her to Montana for the fall. So that's what she's referring to. She's worried that I'm going to bring her to the cold, uh, miserable winter of Montana, but it's not too bad in the fall. Um, so yeah, we kind of have a limited riding season if you don't have an indoor arena. And I would say that's why a lot of barrel racers in Montana head to Arizona for the winter, is just you can get so much more done with your horses if you bring them down to Arizona or Texas, and you can ride them year round. I'm not in a place where I can do that. I have a baby, we have a ranch, I just we can't leave. So I have kept a horse at an indoor arena before, and that is kind of a game changer. As long as you can get out of the wind and the snow and that kind of thing, it does make a huge difference. So if you're if you have an indoor arena, you're a lot more ahead than those who don't. But yeah, so that being said, the clinics that I do are sort of limited to basically like June to September. And this year I'm only doing 3, unless I can convince Farley to come to Dillon, and then we'll do 4. I'm only doing 3 just because I have a new baby and I want to spend as much time with him as I can. And I'm starting a new job in the fall, so I want to be able to prepare for that as much as I can. But the first clinic that I'm going to do is with the Art of the Cowgirl Montana Gathering, and it's in Big Timber, Montana. And it'll be a 2-day clinic where I give a little presentation on the principles of riding balance, expert versus novice riders, and what qualities each have, how you can progress yourself toward being a more expert rider through balance, strengthening, mobility, symmetry, all that kind of stuff. And then we just dive into the exercises. So it's really fun and like interactive. Like everybody who's ever done a clinic has just like loved the interactive part of it. So we do exercises together. We do balance exercises on horses together, which is always really eye-opening. Like even for myself, like riding with my eyes closed with someone leading my horse and trying to like feel the footfall of the horse, or like turning one way or the other, it takes some getting used to. Like we're so visually dominant and reliant, and so that's always really fun. And then we do, like I said, I do a full rider evaluation and a full rider treatment on the second day. So if you have back pain, I might do some manual therapy, dry needling, something like that, anything that you need to help with your back pain. And then um, we did I ever talk about slow motion analysis?
I think we talked a little bit about it before we hit record. And I think you've mentioned it a little bit, but no, let's talk more about that and how it fits into your clinic.
Okay, yeah. So each rider gets like I talked about earlier, like the basic slow motion analysis. And then if there's something that we see that is something that I know, like I can help them correct right away, then we'll fix it, or I'll give them the cue to fix it, and then we'll practice it, and we'll video that so they can see the side by side of before, when you were not activating this muscle, this is what it looked like, and this is what it looks like after. Also, I apologize, my baby is crying upstairs. So
okay.
can I turn my video off and
Absolutely.
go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is part of the real Writer's Edge, because life happens, and yes, go tend to your little kiddo.
All right. Yeah, I have totally learned to be like a way more flexible human, having a little human to take care of little guy. Okay, so yeah, so the slow motion analysis is really cool because that gives people something to take home right away to work on. So it can be something as simple as like one leg sticks out more to the side or turns out more to the side, and then their horse has trouble picking up the opposite lead. So we get them to activate those internal rotators on that side, and suddenly they're having an easier time picking up their opposite lead. And so it's just stuff like that that's really cool, that people can see the effect right away. And then I give everybody a customized home exercise program based on what we find in the slow motion and the evaluation to take home and just work on, and that's what, Farley, I know, like, you're a physical therapist, so you know that the power of PT is in the follow-up. So like not everybody, a lot of people get great results in PT, but the power of keeping it and maintaining it is in the follow-up. So the home exercise program. And if you put in the work and do the work, you're going to see results for, a really long time. It's just, yeah. So that is kind of a rundown of what I do at the clinics that I put on. And the one in Big Timber, we still have 5 spots available. So if you guys are interested, just shoot me an email at solidinthesaddle@gmail.com, or a Facebook message or Instagram message, and I will get you some information on that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I love the work you're doing up there, and you have such a great solid system to help take people through that journey. So that is great.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we'll kind of move to the cool down of our conversation.
Okay.
And kind of, I have a few questions for you. So here at Writer's Edge, we're all about helping you and the horse that you rode in on.
Yep.
So tell the listeners one or two things that are really important to you to help give the rider an edge in their competition. Yeah.
This is such a great question. 1 or 2 things. If I could narrow it down, I would have to say, so if we're talking specifically about competition,
okay,
I would say adding in sprints or plyometrics, because our competition is all about fast twitch muscles, and your body has slow twitch muscles and fast twitch muscles. Oh, that's a mouthful.
mm-hmm.
And if we're just constantly training our slow twitch muscles, so walking, even jogging, riding, long trotting, that kind of thing, we're not ever getting those explosive power muscles activated. And that's where we can get left behind. So like if you're having trouble getting left behind as your horse leaves the barrel, that kind of thing, you need to activate your fast twitch muscles. And I can't snap very well, but I'm snapping in the video that you can't see.
Yes.
You just need to get them firing faster. So I would say that's the first thing, is to get your fast twitch muscles firing. And then the second thing, which this goes for any type of riding, but like massive for competition, is to get your core strong. So I just saw a video, it was just yesterday, that Ryan Padone posted about like a lot of riders, they aren't strong enough in their core to like pick their horse up and drive their horse underneath them. And she likened it to a crane. So she's like, if your crane is, or if your core is strong, you're like crane. You can like lift up and like really drive your horse underneath you. And if your core is not strong, then you can't, like you're not doing your horse any favors. And I just think that it's super, super important to have your core strength really, really good for competition, so that when you have to make those hard moves, whether it's in cutting or raiding down for a barrel or turning the corner or whatever those quick direction changes are, your upper body stays centered over your lower body. And that's like a really simplified way of how your core works is, it keeps everything together.
Oh, I like that. So your upper body stays over your lower body.
Yeah.
That's a great simple way to put that. Awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are my two things.
Okay.
Plyometrics, sprints, like those fast twitch muscles and core strengthening.
Awesome. Awesome. Who, so next question is, who is someone that you're really following right now, really caught your eye, and that people should be listening to, besides you, obviously, but who is somebody that you're really in tune to right now?
Oh gosh, can I do two?
Absolutely.
Okay, so number one always has to be Judy Milamaki. She's the most amazing teacher and barrel racer and barrel horse trainer that I've ever been around. And, I rode for her when I was in physical therapy school. I have been to 2 of her clinics, and now I consider her like one of my great friends. Like, she's just such an amazing woman. She knows so much about exactly when to cue you, and what to cue to get the most out of the rider and the horse. And so I think, if anybody is looking for just some really great instruction, Judy Milamaki is your gal. She's amazing. And I won't go into too much detail, but she has these drills that she does for barrel horses to like both condition them and, pattern them and all that kind of stuff. And I do her drills all the time, and it helps keep myself in shape and my horses. And I think that's really powerful. Second person is Cassie Mowry. So when I was like going really hard, competing, after I got back from rehabbing my back, I was listening to Cassie Mowry podcasts on repeat. Like, she is so inspiring to me. She is such an incredible rider, and she's so dynamic. Like, I think it's really impressive to get to the level that she's at, but it's even more impressive that she does it on a million different horses, right? Like, she has succeeded on so many different horses in the futurities, in the rodeo world, in the jackpot world. Like, no matter what Cassie Mowry does, she exceeds at it. And so I think following her and listening to what she has to say is just a really great idea for barrel racers.
Awesome. Okay, open mic time. I'm gonna give you the mic. Anything that you're very passionate about, anything you want to say, the mic is yours.
Ooh, all right. Let's see. Little guy. So I think open mic time, just for, another little tidbit of like tips for riders would be hip symmetry. So naturally, as Farley, as PTs, we know that everybody has asymmetries. Like, nobody is perfectly symmetrical ever. Like, I've never measured someone and had their hip internal rotation be 40 degrees on both sides and the external rotation be 60 degrees on both sides. I've never had it be exactly equal. And that I think that presents both a challenge and an opportunity to horseback riders because, like you said earlier, our body position is that's how we communicate to our horse. So if naturally we sit with, one hip rotated out more to one side, or we sit on one seat bone more to that side, we are going to affect our horse's movement, especially if you have a really broke horse that's broke to your seat, so the horse follows your seat. And I read an interview that Haley Kinzel did the other day. I think it was on barrelracingmagazine.com, where she talked about how she learned that her hips were staying blocked to the right. So she was blocking the horse's movement to the right, and it wasn't allowing her horses to have a smooth right turn. And she didn't learn that until she started running a horse to the left, and she realized that it was like the same pattern. So she was able to correct that and fix it by learning how to balance on her outside leg to open up her inside hip. And I think that that's like the next level of barrel racing is recognizing your asymmetries, working on them, building the new motor pattern, and then being able to implement it at a high speed or during a competition.
Oh, so much fire. So good. So good. So good.
Oh, thank you.
Aleisha. So
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's just like I said, it's a challenge and an opportunity that people can look for.
Oh man. Thank you so much for having a conversation today on the Rider's Edge podcast. And we will definitely do this again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Farley. I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome, as both a physical therapist and a horseback rider. I just think that this is amazing. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, for those of you listening, Aleisha is doing a clinic at the Cowgirl Gathering in Montana, in Big Timber, Montana, June 2nd and 3rd. And you can follow her on the social at Solid in the Saddle on both Facebook and Instagram. If you're wanting to get into that clinic, you can message her there. The Art of the Cowgirl, they do great things for artists in the Western world. And I'm so tickled that Aleisha is having a rider clinic with that group. I think that is amazing.
Well, thank you, Farley. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be a good time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And for all you listeners, I will see you down the road.